Former Cowboys quarterback and announcer Tony Romo and Raiders quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo both played here at today's topic, Houck Stadium. Houck Stadium is 92 years old. There have been many new additions in those 92 years, including a large dormitory added behind the field goal. They've had weigh stands added, modern turf, a large scoreboard, just to name a few things. It's an interesting place for me personally because it's where I played my last high school and college football game. In high school, we were rivals with Cape Central, and they once used Houck Stadium as their home field, just to clarify. But let's take it back to the very beginning. What was Houck Stadium actually like? This is the stadium right before it was completed. Notice it was built in a rock quarry. This photo was dated 1930, but there were a few inconsistencies, so I cannot say for certain. One of my favorite images from the stadium is here. You immediately notice the leather helmets and the rock bluffs in the background. A few decades later, we have a photo of a play facing the west end zone. Take a look at the left side of the photo. That's the west end zone I mentioned. You can see the scoreboard from the previous photo, and now there is a huge dorm in its location. In 1981, a big fiberglass mascot was made in Sykeston and placed at the entrance of the stadium. It would be removed in 1991. Southeast Missouri State University began competing in football in 1902 and would become part of the MIAA in 1912. Houck Stadium opened October 3rd, 1930, with a 2-mile parade stretching down Broadway. They beat their rival SIU 12-6. A man named James T. Blair refereed and would become the 44th governor of Missouri 27 years later. Lewis Houck, the one who it was named after, was a lawyer, journalist, and philanthropist. He brought the railroad to the region and opened the area to industrialization and modernization. His career made a huge impact on Cape and SEMO itself. Interestingly enough, he didn't like sports. The price tag of this old stadium was $150,000, which would be adjusted to $2.6 million in 2023. To put that in perspective, phase 1 of 3 in its renovation cost about $12 million. It was built in a rock quarry and currently holds a capacity of 11,015. The original capacity was planned to be around 16,000 but was canceled for some reason. Right outside was the original Houck Fieldhouse. It opened in 1927 with a high school basketball tournament. It would be destroyed by a fire on February 17, 1948. SEMO would be upgraded to the NAIA level in 1952, and 6 years later would be upgraded to the NCAA College Division. The away side stands were added in 1962, giving the away fans a side to call their own. In 1973, the university would be upgraded once again, this time to NCAA Division II. I mentioned earlier the big fiberglass Indian. The team name for men's sports actually used to be the Indians. The women's teams were called Otakians. And the fiberglass Indian was named Chief Sagamore, but in 1985 there was a big effort to replace it due to cultural sensitivity. The university went with SEMO Red as a mascot for a while, then Thunderbird. In 1991, the fiberglass statue was removed, and in 2004, the student government, Booster Club, and Alumni Council came together and unveiled Rowdy the Red Hawk as its new mascot. I looked up the women's soccer history for SEMO, and it looks like they played their first game in the year 2000 against Eastern Illinois University. I mention this because they also play at Houck Stadium. Some notable people to play at this stadium were Tony Romo, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Dan Connolly. You probably recognize the names of Tony Romo and Jimmy Garoppolo, but maybe not the other name. Dan Connolly was the offensive lineman on the Patriots that returned a kickoff and nearly scored a touchdown. So in conclusion, SEMO began football in 1902 and a decade later joins the Missouri Intercollegiate Athletics Association. The Houck Fieldhouse opens in 1927, followed by Houck Stadium in 1930. In 1948, the fieldhouse is victim to a fire like many buildings around this time. 40 years later, SEMO joins the NAIA. In 1958, SEMO joins the new NCAA College Division. 1963 gives birth to the stands on the away side of the field. SEMO would join Division II in 1973. Chief Sagamore is added to the entrance in 1981. SEMO Red becomes the temporary mascot in the mid-80s. Chief Sagamore is removed in 1991. SEMO Soccer is established around the turn of the century, and Rowdy the Red Hawk is officially named the new mascot in 2004. Finally, in 2022, the multi-million-dollar renovation begins. I do find it funny that Lewis Hawk had no interest whatsoever in sports, and the university named a football stadium after him. I do miss the concrete archways that reminded me of the Coliseum, but they've been destroyed due to the renovation process, which is a reminder that all good things come to an end. So for now, all we can really do is just kick back and see how the renovation plays itself out. This has been Before and After.